Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Rajkumar's Learning App. In this session, we are going to discuss about the development of education and press in India during the British time period. Education policy of the British. The purpose of introducing the education, it's not possible for the British to learn all the languages and to learn customs and practices of Indians. So they decided to help them in the administration. They wanted to educate Indians in their own language. That is the purpose of introducing the English education in India. In pre-British, Hindus and Muslims were educated through the Pathasala and Madrasas respectively in their traditional way. 1813 Act, the education was introduced in India. The British Parliament added a clause in the year of 1813, Charter Act, that is Governor General in council less than 1 lakh given for education purpose, and also allowed the Christianity missionaries to spread their religious ideas in India. For that purpose, private institutions also allowed. This is how education came to India. The act had its own importance because it was the first time the British East Indian Company acknowledged for the promotion of education in India for the purpose of extensive administrative activity. With the efforts of R.M. Roy, the Calcutta College was established for imparting the Western education. Also, 3 Sanskrit colleges were set up at Calcutta. Okay, so General Committee of Public Instruction in the year of 1823. Okay, I am going to give you only important point, just take a note of this. Here, there was a big debate, Anglicist or Orientalist form of education. Anglicist or Orientalist. Here, 1823, this committee of public instruction were appointed for the development, look after the development of education in India. Okay, which was dominated by the Orientalist, who are the great supporter of which learning? Oriental learning rather than the Anglicist learning. Hence, they created paramount pressure on the British company to promote the Western education. As a result, the spread of education in India got discussive between Orientalist and Anglicist, and Macaulay's resolution come across with clear picture of the British education system. So Lord Macaulay come up with the education policy in the year of 1835, first education policy to India. This policy was an attempt to create an education system that educates only the upper class of the society. Okay, through which language? English language. Persian was abolished as the court language and English became the court language in India. Printing of English books were made free and available at very low price to make Indians aware about what is the importance of English language. English education was allotted more funds as compared to the Oriental learning. In 1849, J.E.D. Bethune founded the Bethune School in India. Agriculture Institute also was established at Pusa, Bihar. Engineering Institute also was established at Roorkee. Remember this, Agriculture Institute was established at Pusa, Bihar, and Engineering Institute was established at Roorkee, Uttarakhand. Wood's Dispatch in the year of 1854. This Wood's Dispatch considered to be the Magna Carta of English education in India, and it contains the comprehensive plan for spreading the education in India. It states the responsibility of the state for spread of education to the masses. The government is supposed to take responsibility for the purpose of establishing the education to the mass population in India. It recommended hierarchy education level. At the bottom, it's a vernacular, that is primary school. Okay, next, a district Anglo vernacular high school. Okay, then affiliated universities, college level. Okay, right. So at bottom, vernacular primary school, at district Anglo vernacular high school, affiliated college, and affiliated universities of Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras Presidency. So they recommended English as the medium of instruction of higher studies. And at school level, vernacular. Vernacular means local language. Okay, at school level, village level, we have vernacular, and the higher level studies in the English medium. Hunter Commission. Okay, 1882 Hunter Commission. It was formed to take an achievement or evaluate the achievement of Wood's dispatch in the year of 1854. This commission was appointed under the chairmanship of W. W. Hunter. It underlined the straight roles in the extension and improvement of primary education and secondary education was successful. And also it underlined the transfer of control of district and municipal boards over the particular schools. Okay. Next one is Sadler Commission. It was formed to study on the problems Calcutta University and their recommendations were applicable to other universities also. Okay, 2-year school course, 3-year degree after the intermediate stage, central functioning of the universities, residential teaching, autonomous body, these kind of things were recommended by the Sadler Commission. Development of Indian press. Press is always more controversy in India. Because of the stringent act passed by the Britishers, there is a freedom of press was not given to the Indians. It disseminated the ideas of freedom and became prominent tool for freedom struggle. Through the writings, the Indian leaders started building the national consciousness among the people of India to fight for their independence. Okay, the Bengal Gazette or Calcutta General Advertiser started by James Augustus in the year of 1780. Bengal Gazette or Calcutta General Advertiser, which is started by James Augustus in the year of 1780. So James Augustus Hickey started this particular paper and which was seized in the year of 1872 because they started criticizing the policies and outspoken of the British government. Okay, outspoken criticism of the British government. Later, more newspaper came into existence such the Bengal General, Calcutta Chronicles, Madras Courier and Bombay Herald. These are all the other newspapers came into existence. Okay, so formally James Augustus Hickey laid the foundation of press in India. Lord Wellesley enacted Censorship of Press Act in the year of 1799. Okay, why? The French invasion of India and also almost wartime press restrictions including pre-censorship, which was later relaxed by the Lord Hastings. Censorship is simple. There should not be any kind of content which is against the British government supposed to be published. If it is so, then all the press materials will be confiscated. Okay, that is called Censorship of Press Act. Licensing regulation in the year of 1823. It was enacted by John Adams. According to this act, the regulation, the press without licenses was a penal offence. If anybody wanted to run a press here in India, they need to get permission, that is license. Without license, if somebody is running the press, means it comes under penal offence. The restriction was directed mainly to the Indian language newspapers because the editors, Indian editors and the Indian language newspapers started criticizing the policy of British without having the license. So, they wanted to regulate the licensing of the press in India. That is the intention. Press Act of 1835 or Metcalf Act. They repealed 1823 ordinances and was named Liberator of Indian Press. So, Metcalf, he is popularly considered as the Liberator of Indian Press. Licensing Act of 1857. This act imposed licensing restriction and right to stop publication and circulation of the book, newspaper, printed matter reserved with the government. Registration Act of 1867. This act relaxed restriction put by Metcalf Act in the year of 1835. Hence states government acts as the regulatory, not restrictive body. Here you just focus on the act and the year and the personality. That is fair enough. Okay, Vernacular Press Act passed in the year of 1878. This was effectively to punish and also to come up with the sedition charge against the writings. Okay, simple. A district magistrate got empowered in terms of call upon the printer and publisher of any vernacular newspaper to enter into a bond with the government undertakings, not to cause any kind of disaffection against the government. If somebody writes against the government and creates disaffection among the people against the British government, means yes, there will be an action. So, the court come up with the final and no appeal could be made in the court of law. Newspaper Incitement to Offences Act of 1908, not much important. Indian Press Act in the year of 1910. This was a version of Vernacular Act that empowering the local government to demand a security at registration from the printer, publisher or deregister if it is an offending newspaper. So, it is like another version of the Vernacular Act. Okay. So, based on the topic, in which year Lord Macaulay education policy was framed? In the year of 1835 it was framed, which is considered as the Magna Carta of English education in India, that is Wood's dispatch, Sir Charles Wood. In which year the Hunter Commission was formed? 1882. Who was the popular personality known as the liberator of Indian press? Lord Metcalf. Who enacted the Licensing Regulation Act in India? John Adams. He is the responsible for Licensing Regulation Act. Okay. So, practice and keep remember the committee, commission and the year and the personality and chairman. That is fair enough in this chapter. Okay. We will see you in the next chapter.